The day I discovered a dead fish flopping around in my toilet, I knew right then the HOA had gone full scorched earth. At first, I figured it had to be some sick joke or an absurd accident. But then, when I twisted the kitchen tap and all I got back was a wheeze and a sad metallic clank, the truth smacked me straight in the chest. My cattle troughs, dry as old bones. My tomatoes, sagging like someone had cursed them. And the dogs? They were staring at the bird bath like it was blessed by the Pope. Still half asleep, I stumbled outside, boots barely laced, and what do I see? A pristine envelope taped to my fence post, like some kind of smug trophy. That HOA watermark gleamed like polished brass, and the cheerful font, it barely softened the blow. Water access suspended pending compliance with HOA green space regulations. Thank you for your understanding. No heads up, no sit down, just boom. Water gone. Like I was some trespasser on their land instead of the rightful owner of 20 acres my family had worked since 1957. I made a beeline for the HOA office, dust puffing behind me with every stomp, righteous anger powering my steps. The place reeked of lemon polish and Pamela Sterling's too sweet perfume. Pamela, self-declared protector of suburban sanctity, was kicked back behind her desk like she was running some kind of federal operation. Her yard, a full-blown oasis with a koi pond, a fountain, and enough water to service a spa resort. I demanded to know how they had the nerve to shut off my water. Pamela just smiled, sly, like a fox with feathers in its teeth. Your yard's unkempt, and you're inside HOA boundaries. The bylaws are pretty clear. I blinked, caught between a laugh and a curse, and asked if she'd personally come out and inspected my shrubs for Section 3.4.2 compliance. Without missing a beat, she slid me a glossy brochure. Landscaping Harmony for a Brighter Tomorrow. That's when the real picture clicked into place. This wasn't about weeds or watering schedules. Pamela had a track record. Last year, she fined me because my rooster crowed before 8 a.m., like livestock clock in and out. The year before, she tried to slap me with a citation for an aggressive antique windmill. But this was warfare. You don't starve a rancher's land of water unless you're trying to force their hand. She wanted my property for some HOA, Community Recreation Annex, and her weapon of choice was discomfort. What she didn't count on was my bullheaded streak, solar-powered and fueled by stubbornness. I rang up Jasper, still owing me from the time I yanked his truck out of a ditch during the '99 blizzard. Now he's an off-grid whiz, and when I explained, he let out a low whistle. Time to pull down the sun and pump it through their pipes. That night in the barn, we mapped our rebellion onto an old feed sack. Solar pump, underground irrigation, private system, all legal, all on my deeded land, untouchable by HOA clause. With a cooler of beer and a headlamp, we got to work, turning the barn into mission control. We laid pipe beneath flower beds, hid wires from drone view, every inch of it a quiet act of resistance. 2 days in, Pamela rolled up in her golf cart, sunglasses big as satellite dishes, clipboard at the ready. She sniffed around like she could smell defiance. "Ready to comply?" she chirped. I handed her a crayon drawing of a bird bath and compliant shrubs, labeled to perfection for neighborhood harmony. She gave a satisfied nod and drove off, none the wiser that my solar pump would soon tap straight into the aquifer, bringing my land back to life. I kept one detail to myself. The HOA's leased water rights, expiring in 6 weeks, and I'd already placed my bid. Sometimes silence is the sharpest tool in the box. Next morning, coffee in hand, I strolled past filled troughs and tomatoes standing proud again. The solar system hummed like a hidden crown jewel, completely invisible to Pamela's watchful eyes. No permits denied, no fingerprints left behind. They wanted to break me. Instead, they sparked a smarter, stronger setup. Across the fence, HOA board members were swatting flies and sweating next to their wilted community garden. I just smiled. The game had changed. Jasper pulled in with a trailer full of parts, dust trailing like a banner behind him. We got to work in the back pasture, installing more solar panels angled just right to stay off HOA radar. We dug new trenches by moonlight, feeding water to a 10,000-gallon cistern, enough to keep everything thriving, drought or not. It was quiet, legal, and everything Pamela couldn't control. While Jasper handled wiring, I paid a visit to the county courthouse, verified it. The HOA's water lease was almost up. Then at the municipal office, I slid in my bid, showing proof of my aquifer tap. The clerk looked amused, said no one else had even filed. The HOA thought the lease would roll over automatically, but the fine print had other plans. I signed the paperwork, got my receipt, and headed home to find Jasper by the barn, grinning while water gushed steady from the pump, untouched by any HOA connection. That night, while steaks sizzled over mesquite coals, I leaned back and smiled. The scent in the air was smoke, rebellion, and progress. I knew it wouldn't stay under the radar long. Pamela's web of watchers, drones, nosy board members, and lawn chair lookouts were bound to catch wind, and I was ready for them. 3 days later, she stormed down my driveway, heels stabbing into gravel like little declarations of war. "Unreported construction," she barked, demanding an inspection. I pointed toward the pasture, where nothing stirred but cows chewing their cud. "Only livestock out there," I said, "and construction on private land doesn't need HOA permission." Her tone shifted. She offered a deal. Water restored, if I hosted the HOA's spring festival. That was her tell. Pamela didn't offer. She ordered. So I played along, requested terms in writing, and watched her puff up like she'd scored the win. Meanwhile, Jasper and I doubled down, hiding the system beneath layers of farm equipment and feeding overflow into dummy tanks. My fields flourished while HOA plots wilted in the heat. Nature's petty revenge. Pamela's formal letter arrived soon after, granting me temporary water access in exchange for hosting duties. I slipped in a clause for full restitution, had my lawyer witness it, and framed the signed letter beside Grandpa's old saddle. One stood for freedom, the other for winning the long game. The festival rolled in loud and oversized, string lights, hay bales, sticky watermelons, and folding tables groaning under the weight of suburban pride. Pamela, wrapped in a pastel jumpsuit, played hostess to the mayor himself, who shook hands like the next election was tomorrow. She paraded him around, praising community values, carefully skipping over the part where she'd tried to dry me out. By mid-afternoon, the cracks began to show. Portable toilets stopped flushing. The garden sprinklers sputtered. Even the sink in the refreshment tent gave out with a sad gurgle. Pamela brushed it off, blaming timers. But I knew better. Her smart water system had choked. A rogue vine had wedged itself in the HOA's rusted pipes, right under my easement. A little act of nature she hadn't planned for, and I hadn't stopped. As the murmurs grew louder, I offered a ranch tour like the helpful host. The mayor, eager to score eco points, followed along with half the crowd. Behind the barn, I pulled back the tarp and showed them the heart of it all. The solar pump humming low and proud. County inspected, permit stamped, and 100% legal. Pamela's face hardened as I handed the mayor the report. Questions came fast. Was it scalable? Could others tap in? Could it support more homes? Pamela tried to cut in, but the tide had turned. Someone asked if I'd consider water access for future events. I shrugged. At market rate, sure, why not? The mayor nodded. Pamela snapped. This is sabotage. I just looked at her and said, "You cut my water, I adapted." The mayor pressed her for justification. She muttered something about lawn violations, but the crowd had already moved on, their attention leaving her behind. The festival unraveled, pies sagged, guests overheated, and Pamela, once untouchable, stood alone, mascara streaking down her cheeks. I handed water to the stragglers. Even the mayor shook my hand, praising the resilient sustainability of the setup. The fallout came quick. Clips of Pamela, drenched in lemonade and flailing, hit social media like wildfire. Complaints poured into the HOA inbox. Board members met in hushed panic. Her formal complaint against my system backfired spectacularly. The county inspector, Clara, a woman who'd seen everything, cleared me in minutes. But Clara found something else, an illegal PVC line running from the HOA supply to Pamela's koi pond. That led to a full audit, which turned up shady invoices, rerouted funds, and deliberate water shutoffs. The treasurer resigned. Two more board members jumped ship, and Pamela's frantic defense, some nonsense about order and standards, didn't land. At the next public meeting, the mayor read the findings aloud. When a neighbor blurted, "We paid for her koi pond," the room erupted. The petition to remove her passed in a landslide. I secured the water lease for the next decade and opened access to neighbors willing to step outside the HOA's grip. Pamela sold her home not long after, packing up and vanishing into some gated paradise far from here. Under the old cottonwood, I spoke at a town hall. This wasn't revenge, I said. It was independence. That night, the bonfire burned bright. Kids toasted marshmallows. Curtis raised a cup to small victories, and the solar pump kept humming.